I could say on family-friendly television, how the bleep is this happening? So I'm just going to let you try to answer it. How the bleep is this happening?
Boy, that's a great question, because we have to ask ourselves, is this the same Rudy Giuliani who cried foul when the U.S. Department of Justice accepted information and intelligence from former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele? Is it the same Rudy Giuliani who bemoaned the fact that George Papadopoulos was talking to an Australian diplomat and the Australians shared that with us? And now apparently it's okay for him to do this. Lots of questions here, Nicole. Emoluments clause. Is he receiving a thing? Will he receive a thing of value from a foreign government that helps Trump get reelected? At his prompting, are the Ukrainians going to do something they would not have already done and therefore provide assistance from a foreign power to a presidential reelection campaign? Who's paying for Rudy's expensive trip over there? Is it coming out of campaign funds for the president? Lots of questions here, all of which I think is going to take us down a rabbit hole that we don't want to go to as a nation, which is that it's okay now for us to rely on, seek the help of foreign governments, even adversaries, when we get a president elected.
Joyce, don't we have Rudy Giuliani's answer to the question Frank poses, whether or not it's something of value? When Rudy Giuliani says this, I'm going to give them, the Ukrainians, reasons why they shouldn't stop it, because that information will be very, very helpful to my client. Rudy Giuliani has already said in advance of the trip, and I guess this is a legal strategy that you have to pay extra for, confess your crime on Fox News, and then it won't be found a crime when a special counsel is appointed to investigate it.
You know, apparently this administration continues with its strategy of it's not a crime if you do it in front of the public's eye. But this is a very curious situation. Whether it's criminal conduct or not, I think the devil is in the details, as Frank points out, and this is in progress. It bears very careful watching. But just to take a step back and think about how absurd and how bizarre it is that we now have an American president, through his personal emissary, going to a foreign country to ask for a criminal investigation. If there was a reason to investigate, I feel confident the FBI and American law enforcement would be more than up to it.
Well, and David Jolly, after William Barr's performance last week, why would he think he'd meet any resistance at the U.S. Justice Department?
The fascinating thing to Joyce's point is Donald Trump and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, are asking the Ukraine to do something that not even Bill Barr has the audacity to do, which is to investigate incidents of public corruption by former Vice President Joe Biden. Our own Department of Justice, if there was reason to investigate it, would, but there is not. So they are relying on a foreign country. And, you know, we frame this as Rudy Giuliani. He is a direct agent of Donald Trump.
Correct.
This is Donald Trump. This is the Trump administration and the Trump campaign asking for foreign assistance, again, to investigate a former U.S. Vice President that even our own Department of Justice will not investigate.
Ashley Parker, top Democrats reacting today. Here's Judiciary Chairman Nadler and Chairman Schiff.
I haven't read the details, but my reaction is we've come to a very sorry state when it's considered okay for an American politician, never mind an attorney for the president, to go and seek foreign intervention in American politics.
It's just appalling. And his defense that he's not seeking a foreign government's help in the election, just an investigation. Yes, it's an investigation designed to affect one of the candidates they fear the most, Joe Biden. And I think it's reprehensible.
Ashley Parker, there's almost an exhaustion that comes across in those two responses that, you know, we just got through a 2-year-long investigation into conduct that is at least recognizable in this willingness, this openness to aid, political aid in an American domestic political campaign context. And now you've got the president's lawyer. We got away with it once. Save yourself the step of investigating us. I'll just tell you about it ahead of time. Where are we?
Well, one of the president's sort of chief attributes, to be honest, is his shamelessness and his audacity and his willingness for him and the people around him to do stuff that a lot of reasonable people, based on sort of norms and societal rules, absolutely would not do. So you've seen this all along. You've seen the president, come out in the campaign and say, Russia, if you're listening, release the emails. You've seen the president when he came under scrutiny for that Trump Tower meeting that his son-in-law said, well, wouldn't you have wanted to get opposition research on your opponent? That's just normal. And so this is a president who has crossed a number of red lines repeatedly, has paid very little political price, has faced very little blowback from his own party in Congress. And so it's not surprising that his lawyer would go ahead and sort of continue that trend of sort of being shameless and doing this stuff sort of out in the open and in public view.
Donnie, I concur with everything that Ashley said about Donald Trump's comfort with shameless conduct. What I don't understand is that the reason he could never acknowledge Russia's malevolence is because it would undermine his victory. Now he's publicly saying, I can't beat Biden on my own. I can't do it. I need a foreign government to help me beat Biden. If the whole direction of U.S.-Russian foreign policy was rooted in his insecurity, his fear of acknowledging that he couldn't have won without Russia's interventions, how is he so down with Rudy Giuliani going over there and saying, I can't beat Biden without the Ukraine?
There is the sense of fraudulence, and the tune that you just played is something the Democrats should hit hard. Your reaction to Jerry Nadler was exactly mine and Schiff. That's the scary part. That's where Trump is winning. When you start to hear, you have Jerry Nadler, and he's saying that it is such overload, the despicable conduct, the despicable characters, that it is becoming norms, and we have a rogue presidency, and there needs to be rage. There needs to be fear at this point. There can't just be now the Dems, very left brain, yes, you need Nancy Pelosi with a calm hand, but there needs to be rage. We have a president sending over his hitman to basically say, I'm going to get dirt. And by the way, the whole thing is investigating Biden is proven false already. It's off by a year. The timing is off by. There is nothing to investigate. What he's talking about, Biden getting involved with an oligarch, there was somehow his son was making money off a business deal. They're a year apart. There's just no there. But there is no depth that these people won't go to. And I've said it many times on this show. Trump is doing what the worst players and actors in the history of mankind has done. He's taking every single step. And how far and how bad does that go? Every other country, they say it can't happen here. It can't happen. It's starting to happen here. And between Barr and this latest instance, it is a new level of dictator playbook. We're getting there, folks. And there's, at the end of the day, going to be only one thing that changes it, and people voting. That's it. We're moving to a final dance in November of 2020, and the American people better get it, because 4 years of a guy who doesn't have to rerun again, take wherever your mind can take you in a bad place, and we can go there.
Frank Figliuzzi, with all of the fog and all of the lies that come from the president, Rudy Giuliani, sometimes the truth tellers get drowned out. But one of the truth tellers